order comes after a weekend of protests that turned violent in the downtown LA area. On Monday, largely peaceful protests during the day were followed by a night of looting and vandalism. Bass said a curfew had been considered for several days but was deemed necessary after 23 businesses were looted or vandalized Monday night. In this context, U.S. President Donald Trump city of Los Angeles amid protests against his anti-immigrant policies. On the orders of the U.S. President, at least 700 Marines were deployed in the California city after a night of protests condemning his immigration measures. Likewise, nearly 4,000 National Guard troops were added to the militarization that Democratic leaders describe as premature. The Trump administration warned that if protesters showed up at the military parade scheduled for June 14th in Washington, they would be confronted with heavy force. On Tuesday, the United States and China have agreed on a framework to implement their trade truce and remove China's export restrictions on rare earth. U.S. and Chinese negotiators agreed in principle to a framework on how to implement the consensus reached by the previous round of talks in Geneva last month and a phone call between the two countries' leaders last week. Officials on both sides will now take the proposal back to their leaders for approval, while neither side disclosed any specific of the deal. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick indicated that both had agreed to roll back export controls on goods and technologies that are crucial to the other. And Iran's foreign ministry announced the next round of nuclear talks with the United States is scheduled for Sunday. U.S. President Donald Trump had said that the dialogue would take place on Thursday, but Iranian ministry spokesman Ismail Bakai said that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will travel to Norway on Wednesday and Thursday. The Iranian spokesman announced on Monday that his country would soon present its proposal for a possible nuclear agreement. Araghchi asserted last week that Washington's proposal contained ambiguities. Iran and U.S. seek to replace 2015 landmark pact between Tehran and world powers. And Greta Thunberg, one of the activists who left on the humanitarian ship Matlin for Gaza, returned to Sweden after being deported from Israel. Thunberg arrived in Stockholm on Tuesday night, where she was greeted by at least 30 supporters waving Palestinian flags, as well as a large media presence. The Swedish activist accused the Israeli regime of kidnapping her and the other crew members and of committing genocide against the Palestinian population of Gaza. Thunberg was one of 4 crew members to accept the conditions of deportation. The remaining 8 were brought before a court to have the custody orders issued against them reviewed. The mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, announced Tuesday a limited curfew to go into effect for part of the city's downtown after several nights of violence. According to the city official, the curfew will be in effect from 8 p.m. Tuesday to 6 a.m. Wednesday and may continue for several days. The curfew does not apply to residents and